Four MiG-17 helicopters sliced through the fog above Kartavya Path in spearhead formation, and a cascade of rose petals showered down on the crowd below, igniting patriotic fervor on the 75th Republic Day on Friday. The theme of Nari Shakti reverberated loudly on the boulevard as women took the lead in contingents, tableaus, and performances. The tri-service marching contingent representing the Army, Navy, and Air Force, plus the Delhi Police team, all consisted entirely of women, and stealing the spotlight with their gravity-defying stunts were fearless women astride motorcycles. The celebration remarks the transition of Indian Constitution in 1950 commenced at the National War Memorial, where PM Narendra Modi led the nation in paying homage to the martyrs. Then President Draupadi Murmu was escorted to the parade site by her Angrakshaks, the president bodyguard, on their magnificent bay and dark bay mounts. She arrived with the chief guest, French President Emmanuel Macron, in an elegant buggy, a tradition resuming after 40 years. Then a 112-strong ensemble of women heralded the parade down the historical avenue where around 77,000 people had gathered. During the Avan, the woman artist Dhol Tasha beats perfectly harmonized within the veil of the conch shells. Following them were the combined band, the marchers of the French armed forces, with their distinctive white and black kepi hats, a nod to the strong bilateral ties between India and France. The sophisticated mechanized columns of the military hardware drew loud cheers as they followed on the heels of the 61st Cavalry Regiment, from the hunting killer concept of T-90 tanks to the Nag missile carrier and swanky all-terrain vehicles, among many others. India showed off its defense technology. Women officers are also displayed the Swati weapon locating radar and Pinaka rocket system, emphasizing the diversity of roles women have in armed forces. Finally, 26 tableaus, awaited expectantly by the audience, rolled in, created by the states and union territories, along with 9 central ministries and departments. These, keeping to the theme depicted women's role in the country's socio-economic activities. The Manipur tableau has women spinning delicate fibers from lotus stems into yarns on traditional chakras, a tradition of centuries-old female entrepreneurship. Odisha burst forth in vibrant red and yellow hues, showcasing the contribution of women in handicrafts and handloom. Chhattisgarh's spectacle echoed the dominance of women in the tribal community of Bastar, while Madhya Pradesh celebrated women's seamless integration in the state's development through innovative welfare schemes. Rajasthan's Ghumar dance captured the desert state's culture, and Meghalaya painted a dreamy springtime tableau, adding a whimsical touch to women's myriad roles and achievements. Women, of course, give the theme where the forefront. On Friday, Captain Sandhya Mehla led the tri-service contingent along with Sub-Lieutenant Anshu Yadav and Flight Lieutenant Shrishti Khullar of the Air Force and Captain Saranya Rao of the Navy, forming a formidable team from the 3 defense services. Eye surgeon and paratrooper Major Shrishti Khullar was in charge of the Armed Forces Medical Services marching contingent. The contingents of the Central Armed Police Forces, Border Security Force and the Indian Coast Guard also comprised women personnel, while an all-male contingent of Bombay Sappers was back on Kartavya Path from 2 decades. It was led by woman officer Major Divya Tagi. The showstopper was the display of bravado by women daredevils rider, with 265 of them effortlessly gliding through the air on their roaring bullets, intricate formations like Chandrayaan, Sarvatra Suraksha, Abhivadan and Yog Se Siddhi. The spectators were elated. Research scholar Dimpy said the best part for me was being able to see women bikers doing almost unbelievable stunts on the motorbikes. When it comes to bikes, people imagine only men performing stunts on them. Today's displaying by the women left many speechless and underlined that women can stand shoulder to shoulder with men. The culmination of the parade was the flypast. Not even the foggy sky damned the spirits when 54 aircraft from the Indian Armed Forces and French Air and Space Forces did stunning acrobatic stunts and twisted before flying off into the horizon, leaving behind only tricolor balloons to remind of the Platinum Republic Day. Visitors and guests at the year's Republic Day parade were in for a visual treat with a sitting area along Kartavya Path displaying different kind of saris and drapes from across the country and offering a spectacular backdrop. Among the many installations, the graceful sari took its pride of place, adding a touch of history to the vibrant celebration of India's cultural legacy. Mounted at a height with wooden frames, the Anand Sutra installation showcased nearly 1900 saris from various parts. The tapestry also had QR codes that could be scanned by visitors eager to know more about the type of weaving and embroidery used. From the opulent brocades to the luxurious Kanjivaram's artistic Jamadan, this type of saris, the visitors at Kartavya Path keenly examined the display and the myriad chaos, the Teliyarumul from Telangana, the elegant Sungadi from Tamil Nadu, and this. The sari was celebrated as a canvas and a medium of expression, and its timeless beauty captured through different designs, whether it was the Sojini for Bihar or the intricate Tilla and Kashmir from Kashmir. Kalpana, a 54-year-old homemaker who was attending the parade, as soon as I entered the venue, all I noticed was the big saris installations. I was left amazed when I found out these are almost all kind of saris that our country has. I am glad to attire that many women in country wear got a place at the Republic Day parade. An official from the Ministry of Culture said that the initiative was not only a celebration of textiles but a heartfelt tribute to India's women and viewers who have preserved this timeless tradition through generations. 31 former and serving CBI officers were honored with medals on the occasion of Republic Day. Amit Kumar, who spearheaded the coal scam investigation while serving as CBI Joint Director, was awarded with the President's Police Medal for distinguished service. He currently holds the position of ADG Chhattisgarh. Among the other recipients were Joint Director Vidya Jayant Kulkarni, DIG former DIG Prem Kumar Gautam, now Inspector General of Police in UP, led high-profile investigation into bribery cases. He had arrested the former Principal Chief Mechanical Engineer of the Railways from Chennai in a Rs 50 lakh bribery case. He launched Operation Carbon against online peddlers involved in downloading and circulation of child sexual abuse material. For his hard work and dedication, he was awarded the Police Medal for a meritorious service. ISRO's women scientists, who are behind several successful space missions including the Moon Soft Landing and Aditya L1 program, made their debut at Republic Day Parade on Friday as the space agency's Tabelu Chandrayaan-3, a saga in the Indian space history, rolled down the Kartavya Path. 8 women scientists became the center of attraction as they waved to the crowd from the Tabelu that showed India's Shiv Shakti point on the moon, where Chandrayaan-3 soft landed on the lunar south pole, Vikram lander and Pragyan rover. India's Chandrayaan-3 was the first spacecraft in the world to make a touchdown at the uncharted territory of the lunar south pole on August 23 last year. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has then announced that the landing site of the lander Vikram would be known as Shiv Shakti Point. Another 220 women scientists from ISRO were special invitees of PM Narendra Modi at the gala event. The ISRO Tabelu also showed the landmark Aditya L1 mission that was led by a woman scientist, a model of India's Bahubali rocket launch vehicle Mark III, and an image of Bharatiya Antariksh Station, for which ISRO has already begun work, and a depiction of the country's ambitious human space flight mission Gaganyaan, which will take 3 Indian astronauts to space for 7 days for several space experiments. The float also displayed space pioneers like Aryabhatta and Vahram Mihir on murals. Space Minister Jitendra Singh later posted on X with Chandrayaan-3 as the center of attraction along the Gaganyaan and Aditya L1. ISRO's Republic Day Tabelu led on Kartavya Path by Bharat's Nari Shakti. ISRO displaying its woman power at the parade is a way to reflect that the space agency functions without any gender bias. Recently, Nigar Shaji, who is project director of the ongoing Aditya L1 solar mission, told the media that there is no glass ceiling for women at ISRO. For time to time, ISRO had brought to the fore its leading women scientists before the media after the completion of a key mission. Kalpana K, who was the deputy project director of the Chandrayaan-3 mission, has said soon after the historic landing that it is the most memorable moment for me and my team. More than 100 women played a direct role in the Chandrayaan 3 mission. Lieutenant Governor V.K. Saxena on Friday said Delhi achieved significant milestones in 23 and centre and state government were making sustained effort to develop the capital into a global and inclusive city. In his speech on the Republic Day, the LG also appreciated the efforts made by the various central and state government agencies in the successful hosting of the G20 last year, highlighting various achievements made in the fields of public transport, health, power sector and ration supply. Saxena said several projects executed in the past year transformed the landscape of Delhi. The inauguration of two world-class convention centers, Bharat Mandapam and Yashobhumi by the central government, and the initiation of the RRTS on the Delhi Meerut and Delhi Panipat line signify the progress made in the capital, the LG said. He emphasized that Delhi government managed to modernize its public transportation system as per the needs of the city and converted 80% of the city bus fleet into electric. With the financial assistance from the central government under FAME-2 scheme would mark a significant global achievement. We are committed to addressing air and water pollution and working towards conserving the Yamuna, Saxena said, adding that the eastern and western peripheral expressway significantly helped in addressing traffic congestion and pollution issues in the capital. Urban Extension Road 2 connecting NH44 and NH48 will be ready soon, the LG stated. The LG said Delhi made remarkable progress in the power sector, ensuring uninterrupted electricity supply. Delhi's economy foundation is also robust, with per capita income approximately 2.6 times higher than the national average. The service sector contributes nearly 85% of the economy, showcasing the strength of Delhi's economy, Saxena remarked. The LG further said the civic bodies were working efficiently to implement various welfare schemes and development projects in a timely manner. He added that several projects such as multi-level car parking and improvement in schools were underway. Saxena also appreciated the efforts made by DDA to provide housing to slum dwellers and said after in situ rehabilitation project at Kalkaji, the EWS flats in Jailarwala Bagh and Katputli colony were also ready. He added that DDA undertook significant works for the rejuvenation of the Yamuna and transformed construction and demolition waste dump sites into beautiful tourist destinations such as Bansera and Asita. Just after a day of slip relief, Delhi's air quality again slipped into a severe category on Friday. The air quality index was 409. Earlier this month, AQI was turned severe on January 14. The sudden dip in the air quality from very poor to severe at 4 p.m. promoted the Commission of Air Quality Management to hold an emergency meeting. The Commission stated that it would monitor the situation before applying restrictions under Stage 3, which bans construction works and put restrictions on cars of certain engine types. The ongoing preventive restrictive actions implemented under Stage 1 and Stage 2 of GRAP shall continue for now, he added. The Republic Day parade on Friday saw several firsts. A troupe of 100 women artists playing traditional musical instruments in place of military bands that led the parade in the past. All women marching contingents of the Army, Navy and Air Force, Medical Services and Delhi Police. The rollout of 6 all-terrain specialist vehicles, a couple of Army marching in the same parade, and the debut of recently inducted IAF C-295 medium transport aircraft. Witnessing these breaks in tradition and on Kartavya Path were 13,000 special guests from space scientists to Sarpanch and from entrepreneurs to street vendors. The presence of French President Emmanuel Macron, who arrived at the parade venue with President Draupadi Murmu in a horse-drawn buggy, marked the European country's 6th participation in the January 26 event, the most among all nations. A French military team also marched down the historical avenue alongside the Indian contingents. While the display of 6 modern specialist vehicles, each tailored for different terrains, gave a parade novel edge, Nari Shakti in India's armed forces could not be missed, with women dominating the ceremonial march down Kartavya Path, Captain Sandhya Mehla led all-woman tri-service contingent comprising women Agniveers alongside Sub-Lieutenant Anshu Yadav, Flight Lieutenant Srishti Khullar and Captain Sharanya Rao. In another first, Major Srishti Khula, an eye surgeon and a paratrooper, led an all-woman armed forces medical services marching contingent. Lieutenant Dipti Rana and Lieutenant Priyanka Sevda oversaw the progress of Swati weapon locating radar and Pinaka rocket system. They were among the 10 women officers commissioned into the regiment of artillery for the first time last year. A 149-member all-male contingent of the Bombay Sappers, which returned to the parade after 20 decades, was also led by a woman officer, Major Divya Tagi, and all the women Delhi police marchers were led by Indian Police Service officer Shweta K. Additional DCP North. Major Jerry Blaze and Captain Supritha City became the first couple to march down the Kartavya Path as members of the two contingents. This is the first occurrence of the sort in the parade's history, said Blaze, who is from the Madras regiment. His wife was part of the corps of military police. The army showcased several indigenous weapon systems: the T-90 Bhishma tank, Nag missile system, Sarvatra mobile bridging system, drone jammer system, and medium range surface to air missile system were key attractions of the mechanized columns. While the Navy Tabelu showcased women in all roles, and the indigenous carrier battle group comprising aircraft carrier Vikrant and GSAT-7 satellite. IAF had 144 AMN and 4 officers marching to squadron leader Rashmi Thakur's direction. Its tableau depicted the LCA Tejas Su-30 and new C-295 transport aircraft. The GSAT satellite and the tableau showed the use of space technology. As India celebrated its 75th Republic Day on Friday, Delhi noted that the number of freedom fighters in the city has dropped from 592 in the 1980s to just 4. R. Madhavan of Azad Hind Fauj, Om Prakash, who dropped out from college to take part in the freedom movement, and sisters Subhadra and Nirmal Kanta, whose entire family fought for independence, are the only surviving freedom fighters among those registered by Delhi government's Freedom Fighter Cell. Born on March 13, 1926, Madhavan joined the Indian Independence League as a teenager. Later, after listening to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose appealing to Indians to give me blood and I will give you freedom, he joined the Azad Hind Fauj, working as a recruitment officer and fundraiser. Madhavan collected funds from 32 places in Burma, among them this. In a message, he said, "Let us promise to strive for justice, freedom and equal rights for every Indian, and for peace and unity among all who are fortunate enough to live in the glorious nation." Om Prakash was also born in 1926 in Aligarh. During his school days in Wazirabad, now in Pakistan, he inspired by the freedom fighter and began distributing pamphlets with nationalist slogans as a teenager. He dropped out of college to take part in the movement against the colonialist rulers. He blew up a railway track in 1943 in Wazirabad and was incarcerated in Multan Central Jail. There he protested and forced the jail authorities to shift ailing freedom fighter Ram Kishan to the central jail from another jail to ensure he got medical care. Om Prakash said, "Seeing the country's progress fills the heart with joy. I feel the country is doing extremely well and had a good future." He remembered the areas in Old Delhi associated with his days as a revolutionary and said, "I like everything about Delhi." Subhadra Khosla was among the youngest to be jailed during the independence movement when she was imprisoned at the age of 12. When in Lahore Women's Jail, she and some other women prisoners raised the Indian flag on the complex in defiance of British. She currently lives in Sultanpur. Khosla was also part of the movement to boycott foreign cloth and to promote Khadi, showing a deep influence of Mahatma Gandhi on her family. Her sister Nirmal Kanta, also among the youngest freedom fighters, lives today in Mandakini enclave. Their father too had left his medical education midway to join the freedom movement at Gandhiji's call. Delhi government gives pension and medical reimbursement to freedom fighters, and officials said. When the scheme was started, there were 592 freedom fighters. There are just 4 left now. The General Administration Department facilitates freedom fighters at state function and also organizes events periodically to commemorate the contribution of those who fought for India's independence from colonial rule. Higher education in India has witnessed significant progress in terms of enrollment, establishment of new institutions, or improved pupil-teacher ratio in the last 5 years, with increased participation of females over males in 5 of the top 7 undergraduate programs across various disciplines for the first time, according to the All India Survey on Higher Education released by the Centre on Thursday. Based on 11 census, gross enrollment ratio reached a new height of 18, and in both undergraduate and postgraduate levels there are now more female students on campuses than their male counterparts. In 26 states, GER for female exceeds that for males. There are 2 union territories registering GER of over 60%, Chandigarh and Puducherry, and 6 states with GER of 40 and above, Delhi, Tamil Nadu, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Kerala and Telangana. The total enrollment in higher education has reached 4 crore up to 3 crore in 16-17, an overall growth of 18%. Top opposition figures including Congress, Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, Delhi CM Arvind Kejriwal, NCP, Patriarch Sharad Pawar and left leaders Sitaram Yechuri and D. Raja were absent from the Republic Day parade. Trinamool Congress is also understood to have been unrepresented. While leaders of opposition in Rajya Sabha and Congress Chief Mallikarjun Kharge has been camping in Bengaluru for the last 3 days where he unfurled the national flag. Party leader in Lok Sabha Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary is in North Bengal for preparations of Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra. Congress sources said the leadership that lately stayed away from the parade because of the objectionable sitting arrangement done under the Modi government. Rahul returned to Delhi on Thursday night as the yatra is on a 2-day break. Sources also said Republic Day parade invites are also given to individual MPs who decide on their own about attending the event, and there is no way of knowing who were present. Kejriwal meanwhile was running a fever and had cancelled all his appointments in the last 2 days. His party colleagues Punjab CM Bhagwant Mann and Rajya Sabha MP Raghav Chadha meanwhile were critical of the Modi government's rejection of Punjab's taboo. The rejection of our taboo is an insult of our history and sacrifices and deeply hurts every Punjabi. All you can do is sink low and reject a taboo, BJP. But you can't remove our name from the history of India's struggle to become a republic, a struggle to which your contribution has been zero, Chadha said. Yechuri was also away from pre-scheduled party programs in Tamil Nadu. Republic Day parade showcased Made in India military platforms like LCH, Prachand Chopper, Pinaka rocket launchers, Nag anti-tank missiles and Swati weapon locating radar. Good as that is not enough. Analysis by Stockholm International Peace Research Institute shows India was the world's top arms importer between 18 and 22. This level of imports has serious implications for India's defense preparedness in the current global scenario. Japan recently modified post-World War II era rules to indirectly permit export to Patriot missiles to Ukraine via US. This month, a senior General Electric executive confirmed that supplies of GE-404 engines to India, crucial for LCA fighter program, are going to be delayed by a year. A few weeks later, reports came of Indian-made 155 mm artillery shells being used by Ukrainian army. The common thread between The common thread there is global recapitalization of militaries and inability of current military-industrial complex to inadequately surge production to meet galloping demand. It's because of the latter that Western powers are having scrounged into their own reserves to supply Ukraine. The World Court ordered Israel on Friday to prevent acts of genocide against the Palestinians and do more to help civilians, although it stopped short of ordering a ceasefire as requested by South Africa. While the ruling denied Palestinians hopes of binding order to halt the war in Gaza, it also represented a legal setback for Israel, which has hoped to throw out a case brought under the Genocide Convention established in the ashes of Holocaust. The order found that Palestinians were protected under the convention and that was a case to be heard about whether their rights were being denied in a war that the court said was causing grievous humanitarian harm. It also called for Palestinian armed groups to release hostages captured in the October 7 attacks. The court issued a set of 6 orders, 4 of them relating to preventing that could constitute genocide and 2 on procedural matters. 15 judges, including this and this, India agreed with all the orders of the court. The 15 judges were joined by 2 ad hoc judges, each appointed by South Africa and Israel under its procedures. The Israeli judge voted in favor of only 2, an order for humanitarian aid and another for prevention of inflammatory speech. Palestinians largely hailed the decision. The Palestinian Foreign Ministry said it was a welcome reminder no state is above the law. An official said the decision would contribute to isolating the occupation and exposing its crimes in Gaza. Israeli PM Netanyahu said that the court had justly rejected the outrageous demand to deprive Israel of what he called the basic right to defend itself by ordering it to halt fighting. But the mayor claimed that Israel is committing genocide against Palestinians is not only false, it's outrageous. And the willingness of the court to even discuss this is a disgrace that will not be erased by generations. Israeli Security Minister said the mocked the ruling in a 2-word social media post with a Yiddish style put down this. South Africa brought the case to the International Court of Justice earlier this month, asking it to grant emergency measures to hold the fighting, which has killed more than 26,000 Palestinians and displaced the majority of the population in a campaign of intensive bombardment. The visit by French President Emmanuel Macron saw the two sides finalize several agreements, including one for a defense industrial roadmap, which will facilitate joint development and manufacturing of advanced military equipment, and another for defense space cooperation. There was an agreement also for joint production of civil helicopters by Tata and Airbus. There was no announcement though about the proposed deals for Rafale fighter jets or Scorpion submarines that India and France are currently negotiating. The roadmap priority is to identify opportunities for partnership in the defense industrial sector that prioritize co-designing, co-development, co-production and building the defense supply chains between the two countries, so that they can not only fulfill the defense needs of India and France but also contribute to the security partnership with other countries who might be in the use of similar products, said the Foreign Secretary, adding that 26 will be celebrated as India-French Year of Innovation. The official said an industrial partnership between Tata and Airbus Helicopters and an MOU between the New Space India Limited and Arianespace with regard to satellite launches has been concluded. BJP governed Uttarakhand is likely to pass a uniform civil code bill during its next assembly session from February 5. If it happens, it will become the first state to enact such a law. PM Pushkar Singh Dhami has announced that a 5-member panel is giving finishing touches to the draft law and it would be submitted soon. Once we get the draft, we will